Good morning, everybody. You are listening to K-Talk Radio 1640 AM. This is the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. I am your host, Yoshi Shiraki, and today we have a very special guest, a friend of mine by the name of Nate Lambert. Nate, thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm stoked to be here, Yoshi.
Awesome. I am stoked to ask you all these questions because you have a fascinating life. I think everybody who follows you on Facebook knows what I'm talking about. And for those of you who don't know Nate Lambert, you are about to learn. Nate is a world traveler but has a massive real estate business. And so it's really fascinating to see people that are killing it in the success of business still be able to figure out systems to travel the world regularly. I think every time I check your Facebook, you're not in Utah. This is like the only time you're in Utah this year, right? Just for my show.
Just for you.
Exactly. Oh, awesome. All right. So what we are going to be talking about today is building a high-producing real estate business as well as traveling the world, because you've learned, I've seen you post through all your travels, you've learned a lot of great tips. How to find good deals, how to find nice places at better prices. And I have to imagine now, probably with the COVID, there's not a lot of traveling, so maybe the deals are even better?
Even better.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so let's dive into this. If I'm not mistaken, Nate, when we first met, you were a professor at BYU. Is that correct?
I was, yep.
Okay. And so how did you get your start in real estate, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, that's a great question, Yoshi. I mean, I was really bored, you know. I was like sitting in my office all day writing these research articles that nobody really reads or cares about. And I did really well at it. I mean, I published 70 journal articles,
wow.
5 books. I was being invited to give speeches like, you know, in Australia and
Holy
England
cow.
and the Middle East, out in Israel. And
Yeah.
I mean, so I was traveling the world. My research was world renowned.
That is awesome.
But, you know, I started hitting a point where I'm just like, man, there's got to be something more than this. Like,
yes.
I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was feeling like I wasn't in control of my own destiny. Like, my department chair was in control of my destiny.
Yeah.
So I just wanted something more. So a friend of mine actually gave me a book about real estate investing, and he's like, "Hey, you need to read this." And I said, "No, I'm not interested." Like,
yeah.
My parents owned a fourplex, and it didn't go too well for him. So I'm like, "No, I'm not." But he persisted. A year later, he saw me researching how to become a millionaire, and he's like, "Dude, Nate, you need to read this book." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll read it." And
yeah.
I read it, and it was like, real estate's amazing. So I kind of started my journey dabbling in some real estate while I was a professor, sort of moonlighting.
Yeah, nice. What book was this, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, it was the path to the straight path to real estate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice, very cool. And now the rest is history.
The rest is history.
How long after you read that book did you quit being a professor, if you don't mind me asking? You said, "I'm done. 9 to 5's over."
Yeah, you know, it was about 2.5 years.
That's fast.
So yeah, it was like I got my first rental property.
Yeah.
And I just started getting more and more involved. I decided to get my realtor's license, and then I'm just like, all right, I'm done. Like,
yeah.
I'm out. I'm gonna go and be a full-time real estate investor.
Yes. So, you know, one of the things that I'm fascinated, Nate, with you specifically, which is, I'm going to prep the audience, the listeners here, is the speed of how quickly you built your success in real estate, right? And that's why I was so curious to see, from the time you read that book, for those of you listening, can you imagine today reading a book and in 2 years quitting your job? I mean, that's scary for a lot of people. 2 years from now, I'm going to try and go and do a new venture. And that's what's so impressive about your story. You know, the part that I know is the shortness, the quickness of how you built so quickly. So you obviously have a strong mindset. Because a lot of people that don't have a strong mindset would still be suffering from paralysis of analysis, right? They just would still be like, I should still do that real estate thing. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years later, they're still not quitting their 9 to 5. The day that you decided to quit your 9 to 5, was probably at least 2 weeks before, because you had to give BYU 2 weeks notice probably. But the day that you decided, what went through your mind, if you don't mind sharing with the listeners on the, because I'm fascinated by your mindset being so strong. What went through your mind when you're like, yeah, I can do this? Was it like doing your first flip, and then all of a sudden you saw how much money you could make in a flip, or what was that? That day like that you decided, today I'm going to figure out how to quit my job in X amount of days?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Yoshi. So what happened was I decided I was starting to lean towards doing this full time.
Okay.
And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to move up to Salt Lake County. Felt like there were probably more deals up there.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna finish up my house. So I maxed out every credit card I had, maxed out my 401k, trying to get this house, the basement finished and everything renovated and ready to sell. Well, the scary thing was, like, Yoshi, it was sitting on the market for months and nothing was happening. I'm like, oh man, this is not good, because I had already decided that I wanted to go full time.
Yes.
But it wasn't happening, and so then I learned one thing about about seller financing.
Oh.
And
nice.
that one little thing changed everything for me. Like, literally, I listed the house as being willing to take seller finance offers, and a few days later, I had 2 offers.
Wow.
Over full price, and I ended up making $109,000.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, like, I went up in the UNAs on. It was almost double my university salary.
Wow.
Like, so 2 years worth in one real estate transaction.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I went up to the UNAs and I was just like thanking God. Like,
yes.
This is so amazing. Like, how grateful I was. And it was that day that I'm like, hey, I am going in. I'm going to go after it. If I can do this with one deal,
yes.
Imagine what I could do if I just go after this full time,
Yes, yes. That is awesome. Oh man, I love that.